You are now watching Demeech.
Did ya miss me? You didn't think the critical gator was gone, did ya? It seems like I got bit by the fan bug and went from Nintendo critic to Nintendo shill. Actually, that might not be the best analogy, because while a bug bite would instantly get on my nerves, Nintendo hasn't done anything recently to make me furious or even just slightly angry. This year started off with the remake of Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Sure, gaming journalists weren't enthused, but I personally loved it. Then we got Princess Peach Showtime. In retrospect, it wasn't anything spectacular, but it's a charming game that set a good foundation for a Princess Peach series. And right now, I am literally playing peak gaming with the remake of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. I'm definitely planning a full Trash or Treasure episode on it, but to say the least, I've already put in 40 hours in just over a week, and you don't put in that amount of time into something you don't actually like. Ooh, never mind, there's an average week working in retail. Simply put, I'm not all of a sudden a shill for Nintendo. They legitimately did a complete 180 starting in 2023. There haven't been any unfinished games since Mario Strikers Battle League, and instead of half-assed Wii U ports, we're getting full-on beautiful remakes made from the ground up of some of the most beloved Mario games of all time. It has been a wonderful time to be a Nintendo fan. However, all that glitters is not gold. This is a video I wasn't sure I ever was going to end up making. I wanted to wait and see what this game would end up being before jumping to any conclusions, but after 8 months with barely any new information, and finally getting an overview trailer just now, it's pretty clear what this game is going to end up being, and to say the least, this is disappointing. It's time to do a good old-fashioned Demeech rant about Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. It's been a while since I've done a rant, but this game, it's kind of looking to deserve it. So what exactly makes it disappointing? There's more to it than you'd expect, but to say the least, considering Nintendo's recent streak of putting out amazing games, this is kind of surprising, and not in a good way. Before getting into Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, my thoughts on Luigi's Mansion 2 might just surprise you. Now here in North America, it's called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and I'm still gonna have a hard time calling it Luigi's Mansion 2. But I'm gonna have to get used to it and call it what it is. Luigi's Mansion 3 is my favorite Luigi's Mansion game, but I actually prefer Luigi's Mansion 2 over the first game, primarily because of the added mechanics of the Poltergust 5000, making the gameplay much more engaging. Going back to it, I don't love the mission structure, but considering I like the gameplay more, and just how much longer it is compared to the first game, I'm actually one of the few that prefers 2 over the original. Now Joshi is going to hate me if he hears that, but I'm already on his list for playing Super Mario Sunshine in the fall rather than in the summer when it's supposed to be played. I actually did a full Trash or Treasure episode on Luigi's Mansion 2 back in 2021. To say the least, I love it, and it's a very nostalgic game for me. I got it back when I was 13 years old. And considering it's been over a decade since then, I'm looking forward to revisiting one of my favorite games growing up. Needless to say, when Nintendo revealed it was being remade in last year's June Direct, I was hyped! To be fair, it did look a bit rough, but considering it was announced with a 2024 release date, I wasn't too concerned. Remember how unimpressive Luigi's Mansion 3 looked when it was first revealed in 2018? Well, that once unimpressive looking game got a major glow up and ended up being the most impressive looking Nintendo Switch game, even to this day. I was pretty confident Luigi's Mansion 2 HD was just announced a bit early and could easily end up looking incredible. We saw it again in the September 2023 Nintendo Direct, and it did look a lot better, but still a bit rough. But this time around, it was slated for a summer 2024 release date. In the case of a summer release date though, that means it had even more time to polish up the game. So you would think. When the overview trailer dropped a few days ago, it is now apparent that Luigi's Mansion 2 HD pretty much looks the same as it did in the September Direct. 8 months have passed, and nothing has really changed. I will admit, the game visually looks nice. It's clear that effort was put into the presentation, and it's not simply an upscaled port. Upon further inspection, you can see that there are new models and refinements to the overall presentation, as well as new textures. In terms of being an HD remaster, you definitely could do a lot worse and lazier graphically. Skyward Sword HD. If I had to rate Luigi's Mansion 2 HD on a scale of 1 to 10 graphically, it's about a 7 out of 10. While it is a Nintendo 3DS game at its core, I do think more could have been done to make the graphics more in line with Luigi's Mansion 3. After analyzing the trailer, there's just one main problem with the presentation: the lighting. Everything just looks too bright and vivid considering the Haunted Mansion theme. If they used the same lighting as Luigi's Mansion 3, it definitely would have looked way better. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD does not look bad, but considering that Luigi's Mansion 3 looks significantly better, that's a problem considering that the main selling point is that this is an HD remaster. We've seen remakes look just as good as their modern game counterparts, and considering it has had such a long time to cook, I expected more. It was absolutely fair to have high expectations for Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. For one, Nintendo has been on a roll with remakes: Metroid Prime Remastered, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, Super Mario RPG, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and most recently Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door have all been incredible. They set the bar very high for remakes. Some of them have new content, but even when they don't have a lot of it, they're remade with such a high amount of care and effort that it's essentially like playing a new game. And this applies to the GameCube and Wii remakes. Considering the Nintendo 3DS is less powerful than those systems, you would expect a more marginal upgrade. You know what Nintendo could have done to make Luigi's Mansion 2 HD way better? Made it Luigi's Mansion 1 and 2 HD. Nintendo is well known to overprice their games, but having a double pack of the first 2 games in a series remade? Not out of the realm of possibility. Not only have they done it before, but they did it twice, not only on the Nintendo Switch, but within the same year. There's Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, but there's also Pikmin 1 and 2. Now with Pikmin 1 and 2, they're upscaled ports of the first 2 games with a few quality of life improvements, but it's only $50, and it's amazing having the entire Pikmin series on the Nintendo Switch. And of course, there's always the Famicom Detective Club remakes. With Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, it should have also included the first game remade for so many reasons. For one, all the mainline Luigi's Mansion games would be playable on the Switch. And the second and most obvious, you know what else was on the Nintendo 3DS? A remake of Luigi's Mansion. I gotta say, it was one of Nintendo's most brain-dead ideas to remake Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS. If it were a 2011 title made to showcase the 3D before Dark Moon released, not a bad idea there. That would have made sense, but it released in 2018 when the Switch desperately needed games other than Wii U ports. It was dumb to release it when the 3DS was on its way out, but the main problem? Why did it have to be remade for the 3DS instead of the Switch? Despite it being a remake on the 3DS, the Luigi's Mansion remake did have a lot of effort put in, with new and refined models and textures, so if they were to take that foundation and bring it to the Switch, they could do what they're doing with Luigi's Mansion 2. Though hopefully with better lighting, but yet again, Luigi's Mansion 1 and 2 have drastically different art directions. The foundation is already there to have both games included, and if that were the case, bam! Problem solved. It would have been one of the most hyped Nintendo releases of the year. But what we're actually getting is just Luigi's Mansion 2, but in HD. There's not even any new content that we know of. Even if they weren't going to include Luigi's Mansion 1, I'd be open to the idea of new content. Something like an additional campaign or a side mode would have gone a long way. Could you imagine if they did a side mission where it was Mario's Mansion? I mean, it still could have new content, but Nintendo has yet to reveal anything, and at this point, I highly doubt there's going to be meaningful new content. Even if they didn't include the first game, I would be so down for them to include Luigi's Mansion Arcade, which is based on Luigi's Mansion 2. That would be awesome. Now we have a Nintendo Direct coming up this month. Could Nintendo reveal that there was much more to Luigi's Mansion 2 HD that we didn't know about in the upcoming Direct? They very well could. I'd love to be proven wrong, but as it stands, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is just a run-of-the-mill HD remaster at the full $60 price. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Nintendo needs to have a standard when it comes to these remakes and such. Why was Metroid Prime Remastered $40, yet Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is $60? Why is Mario vs. Donkey Kong that was remade from the ground up $50, yet Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is $60? I do feel like full-on remakes like Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door are absolutely worth it, but for the consumer's sake, there has to be a standard price. For standard remasters, $40 is suitable. Quite a good price. That's what Luigi's Mansion 2 originally was on the 3DS, and then it became a $20 game with Nintendo Selects. That's right, we're looking at 3 times the price for what is essentially the same game, but in HD. Finally, there's the factor of the build-up. When Luigi's Mansion 2 HD was announced, it was all the way back in June of 2023, which means that the time from reveal to release is just over a year, making it the longest for any Nintendo game in quite a while. Obviously not ever. Remember, there's still Metroid Prime 4. I don't know if Nintendo remembers though, but you gotta keep in mind, that was the same Nintendo Direct that announced Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It was fair to expect more out of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, but perhaps it was just announced way too early, perhaps when they just started working on it. I'll definitely be doing a full review of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. That way you'll be able to decide if it's worth getting or not. But as it stands, let's hope we either get more games in 2024 or remakes of the quality of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. Because as it stands, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is seeming to be kind of underwhelming. We'll have to wait and see what the full picture is when the game releases on June 27th, but either way, I can't deny, I'm still pretty excited to revisit it. I'm just hoping that it's better than what it seems. So what is your favorite Luigi's Mansion game? Let me know in the comments and keep calm and da-don.